Um. Oh, come on. So it was saying that I hit my daily post limit for LinkedIn. I only posted one thing.
No.
So, but we're just gonna go with it.
Okay.
Okay, so welcome. My name is Kathy E. Smith, also known as Resource Reader. And tonight I'm excited because I have Sumiyyah Abdul-Rasheed with me. And we're going to be talking about growing and marketing your fashion business.
Right. Hey,
And
Kathy.
I'm excited.
Excited to be
I
here.
just want to brag a little bit because to me is the most engaged member of the Business Owners Online Marketing Academy. So I want you all to sit back and tune in, and you're gonna learn something because I have. So anyway, so welcome. So do you want to share about yourself?
Well, yes, I want to say hi, and so thank you very much for hosting me. It's really an honor, and I'm excited to be here. A little bit about myself. I've been in the industry, the apparel fashion industry, since '94, um, and basically pretty much starting out as a techie person, but then becoming a so-called, I guess, creative, developing products specifically for women of size, women outside the quote unquote normal range. So that's been my passion for a very long time. And, building the business and structuring the business so that it served the community in terms of uh, giving back knowledge wise, and also giving back in terms of social justice within the community. And serving as a role model for other women who want to get into the industry because the space is there, and carving out this road, hopefully gives inspiration and gives some bandwidth to women behind me who want to come into the industry.
So what prompted you to get into the fashion industry?
Well, I never wanted to be in the fashion business. I mean, I wasn't trained for it. I didn't. My whole background is totally not fashion. But there was a saying by a gentleman, A.G. Gaston, who was an African American entrepreneur out of Alabama. He said, "Find a need and fill it." So I took that to heart. And actually, the way I got into the industry, it was just through a need, for my own need. I needed extra money. I was, you know, just trying to supplement my income, quite honestly. So, looking for an avenue. What's the avenue? What do I do? And, lingerie was it. So I would, and at the time I was living in Los Angeles and working at the University of Southern California with a big title and very little money. So I was looking for avenues, and I just started selling out, to friends and coworkers, quite honestly. And from there, I launched into home parties. I attended a home party. It looked lucrative. I thought, okay, this is easy. I can do this. So I started doing home parties. Working with a company out of Commerce, California, and
Mhm.
then as it turned out, um, when my mom retired in 1992 from the school district in Sacramento, California, she came to live with me in Houston. And the first thing she said is, she said, "I don't want to sit at home. We got to do something." I said, "Well, what are we going to do?" She said, "We got to do something." I said, "Okay." So, I thought about A.G. Gaston. I said, "Okay, we got to find a need and fill it." So I had the plus size lingerie. So we started selling plus size dresses to augment the product. And then selling at flea markets. We sold out of the garage. I put out these pink signs out at the freeway. I guided people to my house. And then, and a light bulb went on. I thought, they're buying this stuff out. And I mean, we're paying pennies on the dollar, but they're buying it. So then we decided, okay, we got to buy more dresses out of New York. But then we certainly realized, at a point, we don't have control of the business in terms of product choice. We had no control. So we said, well, how do we get control of the business, and how do we grow the business so that we leave a legacy for the children and leave something for, humanity? So we said, okay, we got to start making patterns and making the clothes. So I started making patterns out of newspapers, old discarded newspapers, and I didn't know how to make patterns. If I saw something, I would just cut it out. And that's what I did until I finally talked to another designer who took me on and started teaching me how to make patterns, flat pattern making. And then once I did that, I said, okay, then they taught me how to go find contractors because we couldn't keep up with the sewing. We were trying to sew and make the patterns, and it just became overwhelming. It was a lot. So, I started working with contractors, and they would do the sewing, but the patterns were still kind of not so good. So, we kind of worked through that. And then, eventually we got to the point where we said, okay, we need to have our own spot. And that's about 2003. We opened a 4,500 square foot facility in Mapleton and started, with 10 employees cutting and sewing and selling to stores.
Wow. So I'm trying to figure out, I'm sorry, I keep echoing. And
Okay.
Gigi,
Kathy, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you, but I'm trying to get rid of that echo. It's echoing, and I don't have any other device on. So I'm trying to figure out why it's echoing, and it's not showing on LinkedIn, but we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to keep on moving. It
Okay.
said that I had exceeded my daily post limit. I only posted one thing,
So you
but
only
we're going to
did
keep
one
on
post?
moving.
Okay. Okay.
So that all started because your mom wanted something to do, huh?
Yeah, she wanted something. She didn't want to sit home. She retired and she said, I can't do. She said, we're going to do something. Okay.
Huh.
We did it. So, I gave her like Dr. Norman Vincent Peale's book. You can if you think you can. Think and Grow Rich. And I told her, I said, you should read these. I said, because you're going to need this because this is going to be one heck of a ride. And it has been.
Wow. So what would you say are some top things that you get asked often from people seeking to have their own clothing line? Because a lot of people say that and um they start out with t-shirts a lot of
Right.
times, or
Right.
you know I've asked, like, if you want to start your own clothing line, who's going to do the sample for you?
Yeah, and so when they call, depending on their level, but I think most of the questions are, can you sew my particular clothes? How many pieces what's your minimum? What do you guys do? That sort of thing. Um, how many can I do a whole bunch of styles? How many styles do you allow? Uh, and basically, those are the basic questions that they'll ask. You know, what kind of setup do you have? So, meaning, do we do all the sewing internally, or are we outsourcing to people and then bringing it back? Is really what they're asking us.
But
So
that's
those
probably not
those
how
are
they ask you, though, right?
no. No, it's almost like a lot of hand holding, even for those, because a lot of people think that this is going to happen in 30 minutes or 3 months. I'm going to start making this money. All I got to do is sell online, and I'm going to sell all these garments. And they don't know all of the process and the steps. and you can't skip steps. If you skip steps, you're going to lose money and you're going to have failure. Now, failure isn't a bad thing because for me, failure means it's an opportunity to grow. I'm going to learn from that failure and move on. But most people, as soon as they hit a speed bump, what I call a speed bump, they're out of the game. They're whining and saying, I can't do this. This is so hard. I'm thinking to myself, what are you thinking?
Um, so and and then do you find that they find that they don't realize how much money it there's a difference between you making me some gowns like for a wedding or versus you saying I want a clothing line. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Right. A lot of people don't realize the amount of money that goes into building a fashion line. And pretty quick, you run out of money unless you've got some kind of backer or a partner. But if you're doing it on your own, you have your life savings, you come into the game with $10,000. I will spend every dime of your $10,000 in less than a week. Because quite honestly, just to do 500 pieces may cost you $10,000 because you have to pay for the services that we're going to provide for you. And that includes the technical service. If you bring me a picture and say, this is the garment that I want, well, these are the steps. First, we have to develop the pattern in a base size. What's your base size? I don't know. Okay, well, let's pick medium. Okay, so what are the measurements for a medium? We're going to have to do that research. We're going to have to develop the pattern for that. Then we're going to have to go through a series of fittings because just because you make the pattern doesn't mean it fit. So there are a series of maybe 3 fittings and then maybe even 3 or 4 iterations of sample making. And each one of those has a cost associated with it. So by the time we get out of the sample and, maybe started production, you got to buy your fabric, you got to start sourcing your fabric. Then we have to start talking about how many pieces you're going to do to make it worth my while to even get them sewn. So the steps and the money start to add up pretty quick.
And so that is why I believe that celebrities do it because they have the backing.
Yeah,
It's
they've got
not
a
that
deeper
the
pocket.
average person can't, but there's a
No,
lot
and
that
most
goes into it.
celebrities,
Huh?
and I don't want you to be fooled either to think that the celebrities, just because they have deep pockets, get it right. They don't always get it right. Because a lot of it is just based on their celebrity status. The garments are ill fitting. So you've got to have a great technical team behind you that's just not saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to know how the garments are going to fit. And a lot of times they just grade it on the screen and then start into production. You may fit it on one person, but you've got to go through the whole series of sizes to make sure that the garment is going to perform, that it will fit properly, it will hang properly, that it will have the aesthetics of the image or the picture that you showed to us. Just because it's on that flat picture doesn't mean it's going to act properly on a real body. So a lot of times, they have deep pockets and they're just throwing money at it. They're not strategically spending to get quality garments and understand the market that they're serving. I don't want to call any names, you know.
And then also, just because you're spending your money, you need to understand what you're spending it on.
Yeah, because they figure if I get this whole team together and throw the money at it, voila, it's going to happen. Well, you get a lot of yes people around you that don't really feed you accurate information. You're going to wind up with crap.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm glad you didn't disappear. Um, the
Okay.
phone rang and then it just went, the
Oh,
screen went blank. So I thought
oh
I lost
my.
you. So I'm glad I didn't.
Oh no, still here.
So the next question is if you had any advice for someone getting started, um, what would you tell them?
Well, there's a lot I could tell them, but I think the first piece of advice is do your research. That's number one. Understand the nuances of the industry, and the major know who the major players are, and then understand what you're going to bring to the table, and start understanding the sourcing product, well, the sourcing process all the way through production. You need to understand those steps because I think by the time you do all that research, you're going to figure out, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I should do something else in the apparel or the fashion industry, but maybe not production. There may be another field, aspect of it. But I would say the biggest thing is to do your research and to know yourself, and don't be a copycat because you may be copying failure.
I like that.
Yeah, it's true.
So you might be copying somebody's failure,
Failure.
huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen it
Wow.
happen. So, trusting your own instincts and knowing your weaknesses and your strength and not being afraid of your weaknesses. Because if it's something that you're weak in, then go hire somebody that's an expert in it to help you and play off of your strengths versus just, bundling up and saying, I don't know how to do that. Oh my God.
So what are you some things you think that they should ask if they are getting started? What are some of the things that, because people are not technically inclined or familiar with what are some things that you think they should ask?
Well, in terms of asking contractors or in terms of just overall, asking themselves about. Um,
I guess a little bit of both. So let's say two questions they should be asking themselves, and I guess one of them would be, how much are you willing to invest?
right. I would say the first thing they should ask themselves is, you know, do I want to perform this task day in and day out as a hobby, as a side gig, or do I want to grow this into a sustainable business? Because that's going to weed out the shaft from the weed, and the tear. It's going to help you focus on, okay, what does it take to actually start this business? See, anybody can start, and this is why I don't like the term startup. Anybody can start up, but it's the maintenance and it's the longevity. Are you willing to work through not having any money, losing money, sleepless nights? Are you willing to babysit through that process, maybe 5 years, 6 years, until you start seeing a profit? Or do you just want to do this on the weekends to look cute? Because this is not a cute industry, it's a cutthroat, expensive hobby. And then they should start, when they start in, they should start asking people in terms of contractors, or looking for seasoned, let's say seasoned people who have been in the industry and know the steps, because they should ask them, well, what are the steps in the process? And see, if they can't articulate that, then you should move on. They're just taking your money.
And should they also ask, like, what are your minimums? Like,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. What are
like
your
what are your
minimums?
minimum for production?
Right, because a lot of people, they still, want to run overseas. Oh, we have to go to Asia, or we have to go to India, or we have to. So when you get into those situations, they're locking you into high minimums. I'm talking about 3,000 pieces of white only. You don't get black, you don't get orange, you don't get purple. You get, oh, you can only do one color, black. Well, I don't need 3,000 pieces of black. I need a little variety. Can't do, okay, then that's another 3,000 pieces. So then
Wow.
the question should be, okay, so how am I going to move those 3,000 pieces? You're going to have that stuff all sent, but who are you selling this to? What's the game plan? How is this going to move? If not, they're going to be in your basement.
So, how are you currently marketing your business?
Currently, I market through industry trade journals, advertising, print media, um, attending trade shows, a lot of referrals from industry insiders. Because the people that I'm looking for are not on Instagram, they're not on Facebook. This is a hidden group that you have to tap into. And you don't get to these people through Instagram. So you've got to be in their environment. And those environments are at the trade shows and seeing you in reputable trade journals consistently. Then they say, oh, okay, you've been around a while. Guess I can trust you. And the answer is yes, you can trust me.
So, do you feel that since COVID that it has been a little bit harder to connect with? Because have there been virtual trade shows, or it's
There
just
have
comes down
been.
to writing and publications?
Yeah, there have been virtual trade shows which I've not participated in. I have received more business, quite honestly, through people finding us in the trade journal because they're looking for people like me. People are, they're having issues with getting product out of Asia and out of Central Asia. So they're looking to what we call near shore or bring business back to the United States. So they're looking for those avenues because, see, we don't have to worry about shipping time. See, there's that lag time, waiting for the cargo ship to get to its destination offshore and then send the rest of it to you. So with us, what we tell them the benefit is we speak the same language, we have the same cultural background, we are local to you. You can get on a plane or either drive your car to come see us. So fast turnaround to the market is the primary objective, and that's what we fill. And we can fill in those short orders relatively quickly and get the product back out to them.
So, would you like to share where you are located?
I am located in Atlanta, Georgia. Our facility is actually in College Park, which is really just a suburb of Atlanta. But yes, we are an Atlanta based, woman owned business.
Okay, so um, what words of advice do you have? Um, and I'm so glad that you connected with Rosalind. Is it Rosalind
Uh, I
Cruz?
think it's Rosalinda.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I believe that's her. Yeah, that was a fabulous conversation. I mean, we had so much in common, from our corporate background experiences in the apparel industry. And then as business people, women owners, in the fashion industry. Because one thing that she said that struck me, she said, you're in a space, you've opened up in a space that is pretty much an old boy, old guard
Wow.
network. And you're in that space. And you're in the near shore, you're a proponent, and she's a proponent of near shoring, bringing the work back to the United States. So that was a really interesting conversation that we had. So that's how we started talking about possibly doing other ventures together and sharing. So thank you so much for that. That
You're
was great.
welcome. You're welcome.
Yay.
So, how can someone connect with you if they're interested in doing a fashion line? Because there is a difference between a couple of pieces and a line.
Oh, yeah. They can get in touch with me through email. That's info at ann dash nahari, NAHARI.com. They can also call at 678 200 5809 to talk about product development. Um, They can also buy my book, No Money Startup: How to Build an Apparel Manufacturing Company. Now, they may not want to start an apparel manufacturing company, but I put a lot of information in there for newbies. A lot of the pitfalls that we crossed and challenges that we faced and overcame. So I put those in the book. Um, it's not a how to, it's what happened, and this is what you do. And that
And
they can get it on Amazon.
yes, because I was going to say it is on Amazon, correct?
Right, it
And
is.
it will just give you a lot of good information about the business and what
Right.
goes into it. And so I think as someone who's not in there, but who did major in fashion merchandising, let me just say that.
Oh, okay. All
um,
right. Try to
I
use your
do
skill
think
sets.
it gives insight into the value and what goes into the production of, you know, the
Mhm.
garments that we wear.
Right. Right. Because I think people just think, basically, it's a black hole. And poof, out of that black hole comes these magnificent pieces. And, well, it's just easy. Why don't you? Well, if it's so easy, why aren't you doing it if it's that easy? No, it's not that easy, and it does take time. And I think the biggest takeaway for me is to explain to people that it takes time. It doesn't take 6 months. It's not going to take a year. It's going to take time. And it takes planning. You have to plan for success. Success doesn't just drop in your lap because you get 10,000 followers on Instagram. That doesn't mean anything because clicks don't always mean, or like and love don't equate to dollars.
Oops, say that for the people in the back.
Oh, the choir needs to turn around, or me? No, clicks and likes don't equate to dollars. It simply doesn't. It doesn't. You have to find another way to get in their heads. And they say, "Oh, I
Absolutely.
like that." Well, so liking it doesn't mean you're going to buy it. I need you to click through and click on the product and get it in the basket and send me money. So no,
Absolutely.
no, no. Not that I'm dogging out social media. I'm just want to be clear, but those likes do not mean dollars.
Because someone could like your picture, but like you said, it doesn't mean anything until you put it in the basket.
Mm-mm. Oh, I need to see the money. Show me the money. The money. The money needs. And so, I think getting over that hurdle, that's a real hard one for me to talk people out of, because they come, well, I'm starting my line and see, and I'm getting my website up, and I'm going to be on Instagram. And I'm thinking, good luck with that one. Yeah, good luck. No, this is still a touchy feely business, honestly. So you have to find a way, even with the COVID now. How do you engage with your customer base? What does that look like? Is that going to be a Zoom, a virtual lingerie show? Um, is that going to be one-on-one consultation about, okay, this is the right bra and panty set for you, this is the right lingerie piece for you? You have to figure out, what is it going to look like to engage my customer when I cannot be face to face with them?
And people have gotten creative during COVID because I've seen several runway shows that have just been virtual,
Mm-hmm.
and just the models and the designer.
Right, right. And it's quite interesting. It's like, okay.
But I'm sure it's still not. I mean, even though that's a way, I'm sure it's still not
It's
as
not the same.
engaging as being,
Mm-mm.
in the audience.
Because there's still that, um, there's that engagement, the buzz, the hype around everything. And, when you're just walking up, I mean, I can only imagine a model just walking and, say, oh, that's it. Okay.
Like pretending like I'm posing, but there's nobody here.
There's nobody here. Okay. And people are trying to coin that off to be, yeah, this is the new. I'm still betting. we are going to be in an area where we still want to see, touch, and feel the clothes and feel the vibe. Case closed.
Absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on Clubhouse the other day, and they were saying that, they were asking, like, do you think Clubhouse is starting to decline? And there was mixed feelings on that, but they were saying that it's a supplement because people have met on Clubhouse, but then they've gone to scheduled to meet in person because they do want to feel, touch,
Exactly.
you know,
You do.
hug, and you know,
Mm-hmm. And and it's a wonderful alternative. And I think some thought leaders are pushing the idea that this is going to be the new norm. But we're a gregarious group. Uh, humans like to engage other humans. No matter how weird, we still like to engage with other people. So at some point, yeah, you're going to come off the social media and do it face to face because there's so much more that you get out of a person to person interaction that just doesn't happen with the screen. Although this is wonderful, but no, I still need to touch and feel you. Whoa. Uh
no, you hold on. Okay, you could hear my husband's whole conversation, and he decided to be on speakerphone, even though he walked by and saw us.
oh.
So
Okay.
anyway,
I
you could
thought, oh
hear him
no, I
feedback.
lost you. Oh wow.
It's all good.
Okay. This is cool.
So I want to thank you so much. Let me know if there's anything else you want to share. I so appreciate you being on. Not sure, we may need to do this again because I'm not sure why it did not post to LinkedIn. They said I
Hmm.
did too many posts today. I only did one post. So
Oh wow.
I never got that message before, but
Okay.
we're just going to keep it moving, right?
Right.
So I thank you so much
Oh, I thank
for
you.
all for being a guest and for always. I'm not really sure what I'm going to call this yet, but I'm definitely trying to take advantage of being on connected to LinkedIn Live. And also this is going live on YouTube. So I definitely want people to see it and soak up all the knowledge that you have to offer.
Oh.
And just know that I always appreciate you. Um, and you always engage with me, and when we're talking about marketing, and so I appreciate you and thank
Well, I
you for being
appreciate you
on
and all the
here.
knowledge, and shout out to Gigi too. I mean, she's been the ride and die for a long time.
Yes, yes, and Gigi is
Really.
watching.
Oh, hey, Gigi.
Yes, she is watching. I could not figure out how the echo, so I hope this turns out okay. At least the most important part with you sharing
Okay.
does not have an echo. So
All right.
but we have to do this again, and so I
Okay. And
appreciate.
as we do things on Clubhouse, I'll be able to share with you. As I say, we Rosalinda and I talked about sharing knowledge because we have the same kind of base and share the same kinds of ideas and thoughts. So we thought, we need to partner up and put together workshops, virtual workshops. Club. I told her, I said, well, let's just do something on Clubhouse. She says, because there's not, in our estimation, there's not a real conversation happening in the fashion industry about the reality of fashion. There really isn't, and that's prevalent to me with the kinds of phone calls that I get. Well, I don't know anything about this. I mean, you got to help me through. See, we're not babysitters, and then when I tell you there's a fee for babysitting, you want to pass out. But go do your research. If you're going to come to me, at least come with some knowledge. But we're not in the this is not the babysitting service for fashion. You know, A lot of
I
hand
like that.
holding.
Now that's a
Yeah.
nice headline.
Yeah, okay, I'll remember that. No, this is not the babysitting fashion list. No, no, it's not. I mean, I thought maybe I was just being mean spirited, but it's like, no, I'm not. Uh, you really need to do your work. You have to do some leg work. And if you do your leg work, you're less, I would say you're less vulnerable. You're still going to be vulnerable to a little, to some degree, but you're going to cut down on a lot of the mistakes that you're going to make early on. I mean, the rookie stuff, like 5,000 pieces of white garment. Look, that's not going to happen. And how do you talk to a mill or a factory to get them to work with you with the minimums? I devised something. I just told myself, look, if you do a sample run for me, I kept begging. I said, I'll give you money up front. If you do 500 pieces, then I'll come back to you for a bigger order. He said, oh, really? Yeah, you get money up front now. Oh, okay, we'll do it. So I get 500 pieces, but I'm not getting 3,000. I said, 3,000? No, I changed my mind. Not doing that.
Now, see, insider secrets to apparel manufacturing or to getting your own line.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there's
getting
lots
your
of
line. Yeah,
content.
because they'll stick you. Yeah, they'll really stick. They said, no, we got to do five. Nah, I'm sorry. Or either we need all of the money for the 5,000 pieces up front. I don't think so. You get 30% now and 70% when you finish and get ready to ship.
I know
That's
that's
how it works.
right.
Yeah, and then you're getting money up for what? Really? No, no. So it's a lot of little it's a lot of little inside stuff that only circulate through our circles. We tell it to each other, but it doesn't really go any further than that. And it takes a while for people, newbies, to break the guard. I mean, to break down the fence, because a lot of times they stay on the outside of that fence. They never really crack the barriers because it is a good old boys network and they are not going to tell you squat, period. They don't want you in. They lock arms. It's like the steel gate. They lock their arms. They're shoulder to shoulder, and you're not getting in.
So how did you find that balance? Did someone share with you or did you just through trial and error?
It was through trial and error. Yeah, and we kept show. I know when we were doing our menswear, we just kept showing up at the trade shows, and after about 3 times, then the guys kind of saw, okay, these women keep showing up, so they must be serious. So then, little by little, they started sharing little tidbits. They go, "Oh, are you guys doing this? Oh no, don't do business with them because they don't pay." Oh, really? Oh, okay, check this. Oh, okay. So it started with little bits, but we had to be consistent with showing up. You've got to show up and let them know, okay, I'm not gonna go away, so you better get used to my face. Period. And that's it. And the other rest of it was just trial by error. I mean, finding out how to work with factories. No, there was no manual for me to go by. I just showed up in China. I found the guy online. I said, "Where are you?" He told me. I said, "Okay, I'll show up," and I did. And they just took me on the back side. I was not in the tourist area. I mean, I was really in the hood. And they took
Wow.
me out. Yeah, it was. Sometimes it got pretty scary. Now that after a while, I kind of thought through. I thought, oh my god, I should have been really terrified. Yeah, being on the bus by myself without speaking Chinese that well is like, oh my god. Okay, okay. But then people started getting used to me showing up at the factories all the time, and they kind of started the ice started breaking. And then I started learning, the ins and outs, how to get things shipped, how to negotiate. But it was just really on my own. I didn't have a manual. There was nothing.
So that's a whole nother conversation, like things you should consider if you considering outsourcing and why inside the United States is a better alternative.
Yeah, right now it's really looking better. I mean, the ships have not stopped flowing from Asia. That's not stopped. But what has stopped, or is, people are looking for other avenues for production closer to home, so that you can mitigate some of the disruption in the supply chain. And one thing I talk about in the article that I wrote for, the standard operating procedure, you plan for the worst case, because most people write their operations manual for the best case. It's not the best case. You write it to be proactive of worst thing, what could possibly happen to you. If you think it's going to happen, it will happen. And you should have a procedure for it. What do I do if? So it's like putting all your eggs in one basket. If you're doing all your work in China and okay, things flip out, you're dead. And that's what happened to a lot of people. So
Really?
I like to diversify. That's why I was doing things. I was having things done in Morocco. I was having things done in Mexico. I was having things done in China. And, I wasn't putting them all in one basket, because if one of them had a disruption or some kind of political upheaval, I wouldn't lose as much. And that's something I think is very important to consider. You know, if you're going to have production done, I would diversify. I would diversify my sources, quite honestly.
I think that's a whole nother conversation that we'll have to have you back. It's
Oh, it is.
fascinating.
Yeah. Well, it is. I mean, it's been a real tough road. It's just it has not been the easiest ride, quite honestly. But I mean, after a while, we had lost so much money until we said we can't back out. We're in this. We got to make our money back, or we got to grow this company. So and growing it meant, okay, how do we increase our volume? How do we increase our revenues? But it just got to a point where we said, okay, there we're so far into this, we cannot turn around. We cannot leave. We got to stay in it.
No turning back.
No turning back. Nope, haven't turned back. Wish I could, but no, no, there's no point. There's no way. Got to stick with it.
So, one more time before we go, would you like to share your contact information?
Oh, certainly. So you can reach me at info@ann, A-N-N-Nahari, Nahari.com, or you can call 678-200-5809 between 10 and 4:30, well, sometimes 6:30.
Eastern Standard Time, right?
Eastern Standard Time, that's correct. Or they
Okay.
can go to the website. They can go to SWH Apparel website and fill out the contact form, and someone from the office will get in touch with you. But we've put everything out there that will answer questions. There's a video out there explaining the manufacturing process for beginners. There's a link to the book on Amazon. We have a product gallery so that you can see the quality of the products and the type of products that we're capable of doing and customers that we work with. So the website, I think, would be a great start.
So, I'm going to have it flash. That correct?
That's correct.
So, I'm going to have it flash just a few more minutes and allow people to capture that. And
Okay.
this has been fascinating. And
Well,
so I
thank you.
love it because it's just been a conversation, even though we talked about different questions. I just think it was a natural conversation. And looking forward to doing it again.
Okay. Well, looking forward to it. And, if people want to call and, schedule a conversation with me, they can do that. There is a fee for an hour. If you want to spend an hour with me, going through the processes in your particular background, you're thinking about getting in the industry, we can do a consultation.
Because time is money.
Uh, well, yeah, it is. It is. It truly is.
And you cannot, that is the one thing that you cannot get back.
No.
And money
No.
cannot buy. So,
No.
so just know it, you definitely, if you are interested in creating a fashion line, working with an apparel manufacturer, you definitely want to click www.swhapparel.com and schedule your appointment and save yourself a lot of headache.
True. Very much so. Wow.
So we want to thank you all and stay tuned for more experts. Good night.
Good night.